They're all here, but Carol will.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to our second meeting of the year. We're so glad to be with you in person. Hopefully everyone received their Valentine today or yesterday, or good wishes of some kind, but if not, accept our good wishes right now. And let's include our Horizon House staff in those good wishes. On behalf of the Residents Council, I want to take this moment to speak to all Horizon House residents about our wonderful, hardworking staff. Like us, they've had to deal with the challenges of COVID, and we owe them our thanks and respect for their loyal and consistent service in the face of these unwelcome hardships. All of us residents and staff alike are ready to get past this pandemic, right? But as we progress, please remember to show our staff your appreciation and your respect. Not everything here in our community will go just as we wish, like every day. Okay? So we need to remember that our staff is doing their very best for us, and we should always be courteous and respectful in our communication with them, especially at the front desk. Thank you. So let's begin our meeting. Let's begin our meeting with the agenda for today, which is to hear from our administration. Mike, come up. And following him will be Ruth Ann Ford from our philanthropy office to talk about gym grants. Come on up, Mike.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, did anyone have a chance to be in the dining room yesterday for Valentine's Day? That was pretty cool. How about that ice sculpture? Wasn't that fun? You know, you got to do some fun things once in a while. And I think we got a pretty good rhythm of doing fun things when we can get those hallmark occasions. Hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at the display that has been put on in the Fireside Lounge by the Employee Recognition Team on Black History Month. You know, it's pretty compelling, and it is something for us to stop and take serious consideration. So I hope you've had a chance to do that. I hope that you had a chance to participate in the Board of Trustees meeting last week. You know, this is a chance to get to know, you don't see the trustees all the time, so you're not going to get to know them really well, except for those who live here. But they do have a deep interest and concern for what goes on in Horizon House and for all the residents. It's not just this detached group of people making decisions at some big grand level. It's people who are talking about and thinking about what is life like for the people who are here and for the people who will be here in the future. So I think when you have that chance, seize it, get to know people, they do care. You will find that Mike Meekum really cares. And he's the new president, and he wants to know how you feel about things. That doesn't mean you get to call him up every day and give him a piece of your mind. That's what I'm here for, right? And I have lots of little pieces of minds that I collect. So keep that coming to me. COVID reminders, we hope on Thursday, maybe we'll be able to announce some lightening up of some things. We'll see what the governor says. We're kind of hinging on that. I don't want to get too far out front, but there's a cautious optimism that maybe this week or soon thereafter, the governor will have some more news that will allow us to kind of lighten up. So in the meantime, you got to wear the masks, the no food or drink in the public areas until further notice. You know, the bistro and the TDR are limited to 2 households per table and not outside guests right now. And you can still schedule AL visits for with a life enrichment, so that can still happen. Those are outdoors, but nonetheless, at least that visiting can happen. And hopefully we get past these things. We need 14 days of no new cases for AL to reopen on a normal basis. So it seems like we just kind of get there and then something happens. So it's kind of our life right now. The strategic planning process, you know, I will try to keep people as up to date as things change. Here's what we are doing right at this moment. We are planning how we're going to have the meetings with residents of the West Wing and of the west-facing Central Tower. And it's going along the lines of family meetings in your apartments. So it's not, you know, people aren't coming to us. We want to go because part of understanding where each resident is like being where they is. And they is in their apartment. And we want to understand what that life is like, what people are giving up, so that we have context behind kind of the facts and figures of things. So it will probably be 3 people from my team, including Ann Brand. So it'll be Ann and Christy and myself. We don't want to overwhelm any resident with this army of people in suits and big black bags. We want it to be a personal experience and understand what your life is like in the West Wing and appreciate what is changing and understand what your degree of flexibility is or is not, what your capability is or is not, so that we can aggregate those decisions or those comments, those issues through March, April, and May, get to June and take a look at what does this picture look like? What is the solution set that is going to work best for residents? So that's what our plan is, and the way we'll do these prioritize the meetings is we'll start with the people who are most vulnerable, whose anxiety level is probably more at issue than those who are in better cognitive or physical ability. And then we'll look at seniority. So then we'll say, all right, who's been there the longest, and we'll schedule those meetings. And the whole idea is to get through roughly 75 meetings in March, April, and May. And then at the end of May, then aggregate that information, understand what different kinds of solutions might work, talk to the board about that and give our recommendations, and then keep people informed throughout the latter part of the summer. We're also going to be talking at the Fireside Chat coming up a week from Friday on kind of our new logo and look and feel. It's important that we in senior living update our look and feel periodically. We'll show you a little bit of a timeline of where we have been in our logo, where we are now, and a little bit of the thinking about what goes into the updating and kind of why you do it and why it's important. It's not as important for people who live here as it is for people who might live here. People want to see a community that they see themselves in. And when you take a look at what our logo was back in 1960, you'd say, that probably deserved to change. And it did it each time. There's a time and a place for that change. It's usually every 10 years or so. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, as well as our mission and vision that we have kind of brought in a little bit closer, so it's a little bit more memorable, and it is something that's a little bit more true to who we really are and who we really want to be. And it's always good to be revising that and looking at it. Doesn't mean you always change it, but it means you evaluate it and give consideration to how it might better fit what is really happening or you want to happen in your community. We'll talk about that too. So you all recall that in the late fall, I think the board of directors agreed to a diversity statement and voted on that. And there are 3 legs to that stool. I love legs to stools. Okay, you might think I have a lot of stools in my house. One leg is the board's role in helping to foster it. And if you look at the board now is beginning to take on a look and feel that represents a diversity that we want to achieve in our community over time. Step 1, and having made that statement. The second is that, administratively, we have a role. So what does that mean for us? It means that we do 2 things. One is that we begin to understand the communities that we want to attract and how do we message to them and what vehicles we do it, whether it's our advertising or it's other messaging. And the second is in how do we underwrite? How do we make sure that we are accessible financially to people from different ethnicities who may or may not feel that this is a place they can afford to live? How can we make it a place for them to live? Because we have the resources, we can make those judgments and hopefully be amenable to people of different ethnicities who thought that Horizon House was out of reach. We'll make it within reach if we can. And then the third is residents. At the end of the day, people want to be around people who understand them. And I think that what we need to do, in my opinion, is that residents need to establish their committees to be able to venture out into areas of interest in the community and start to understand what does it mean to be open to a diverse community. It will call upon us to be something different than what we are today, I would imagine. In order for us to appeal to people who have different interests and motivations and lifestyles and food and whatever programs, it probably requires something different of us. And the more residents understand that, the easier it is, I think, to attract an audience who would be open to that. So hopefully that will be something that will be created via the Residents Council. Let's see, we had our small group sessions and that was well attended. Lots of questions about strategic planning in the West Wing, and that's fine. That's what these things are for. People need to get it off their chest, and sometimes we take it under advisement. Other times we just we make changes and alter how we approach things in order to make sure that we're responding to residents appropriately. And that summary is posted on HH Connect and the admin board in the mailroom if you want to see what those summary statements were. At the fireside chat, Brian Holtz and maybe even Sean McMahon will talk about the elevators. Oh man, this has been like, it's crazy. It is crazy. And I got a report that was, I don't know, probably 10 pages thick of things about the elevators that just needed to have attention. And so Brian's going to give the update of what's being done, primarily, the North Tower elevators in Car 11, which has, had some and is in the process of substantial improvements. But man, that has been a nightmare, and I appreciate that is something that you are all really close to, and we need to get it fixed. You have heard, I did announce that, Laura Tufts, who was our communication, marketing, sales manager, had, resigned. And, that was kind of a mutual thing. It just wasn't the right fit over time. And I won't go into it except to say that we need to reestablish how are we going to operate within that area. And we're very close to making a decision on that, but I can't announce it yet. I will say this, that you can have you have sales, marketing, and communication. You can have sales and marketing and leadership over there. You can have marketing and communication and leadership over there. But it's really hard to have one person on all three because nobody has the discipline, not discipline, but the foundation to be able to, manage with expertise all three areas. So we kind of have to go left or right. We kind of know which direction we're going, and we'll be announcing that shortly as soon as we make that decision. We won't have executive level leadership at both places. We'll have it at one, and then the other will report directly to me for a while until we figure out some better arrangement. And then the CEO report will come out at the end of the month, and that's I say this all the time because I hope people take a peek at it. Just it's a way in which we communicate very transparently our financials. If you look in there, Christy lays it out exactly what's happening. And you get a flavor for what's working, what's not working by reading what she says. And we don't, varnish it. I mean, it's like the same thing that she reports out to all of our managers. And unless there's something personal in there that we can't share, it's pretty straightforward. So if you want to know what's going on financially, that's your place to look. And then Fireside Chat comes up a week from Friday, and we'll have more good stuff then. And I think that's it, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Ruth Ann Ford. Thanks. I'm here to just give a quick update about GEM grants. Has anyone ever written a GEM grant in this room? Yeah. It's a really simple application, and it's a great source of funding. So GEM grants are given for projects that enhance the life of residents or staff at Horizon House. So a lot of resident committee groups write grants. Some recent projects were sewing chairs for the sewing room, and also the dance performance by Brian Carr was also a GEM grant. We fund new ideas and initiatives also, as well as physical items. So at each grant cycle, we have 2 grant cycles, spring and fall, and our spring deadline is coming up, which is March 17th. And we have $25,000 that's available for each grant cycle. And we don't normally come close to that total. So we really look for applications and really encourage you to write something. So new this year is we would really like people to come to me with your idea before writing your application. We really want to make sure that your application, your idea is a good fit for GEM grants. Sometimes people have an idea and it's really more appropriate for a general operating cost. So just come to me with your idea. You can stop by, email, or call me, and I'd be happy to help with you, talk to you. And we have Joan is in the audience. She's a member of our GEM committee. So an all resident group reads and votes on all the applications. And I think that's it. Thank you very much. And I'd like to introduce Connie with our secretary's report.
Kind of a long trip. The minutes of the previous meeting have been circulated among the council members and corrected accordingly, and I'm now submitting them for final approval. So can I have a motion to accept?
I so move.
Okay, and a second? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
See, that was easy. I'm happy to introduce Diane Schaefer, our incredible treasurer.
Thank you. I think there's going to be a slide. I'll just go over the figures and, oh, there they are, good. So our January income, $8,434. January expenses were $13,573. They were quite high this month. We made one of our 2 annual donations to the Residence Assistance Fund, $7,500 to the endowment. And the sewing room had spent their whole budget in 1 month on supplies and maintenance contracts for their machines. So January shows a loss of $5,139. We did receive a very nice thank you letter from Mike Ostrom for our donation. And I'll just quote a little bit of the letter so you better understand. This donation was to the endowment fund, which is invested, and only the income from the endowment fund is spent. We also make a $7,500 donation in the summer, usually at the ice cream social, for the regular operating Residence Assistance Fund. So our year-to-date income, $70,509. Year-to-date expenses, $57,344. So we have a net income for the year of $13,165. I have received a budget request from every committee, and we are in the process. The budget committee will be meeting later this week and next week, and I will present the budget for next year at our next council meeting. Thank you. So I'm introducing the Monday Market Directors, Cammie and Susan. Are there any questions?
Could you tell us what the annual cycle is for that year-to-date income? Does that go April to April or?
Yes, April 1st. So this is for 10 months.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So since, since Diane tells you exactly how much we make each month, we've been just talking about weekly averages. And ever since we've been able to have guests in the Monday market, where residents can bring in friends and family, we've been averaging somewhere between $1,800 and $2,000 per week, which is phenomenal. It was only about $1,500 when it was only residents and staff shopping. So the guests make a big difference, and we're happy to have them. And we look forward one day to having the general public come. We hope the numbers will even more go up. So the only other thing I want to share is that, as you know, yesterday we had a mystery table in the Monday market. And the reason for that is when donations come in, they come in the baskets. And usually we can tell pretty much what something is, but sometimes we can't. So I've been sticking those things in a drawer or on a shelf, and every couple of years we've put them out and we've invited people to see if they can figure out what things are. So I've just brought you 2 examples. We think, according to people, this is probably some kind of a dryer ball to go in your clothes dryer. Though one person did think it was a model of a coronavirus. And this came in, and we assumed it was some kind of exercise equipment, but it turns out it's a guitar stand. Interesting. So I would ask, if you donate something to the Monday market that's not absolutely obvious, like a TV or a saucepan, just stick a note on it. It's just what it is.
Or don't, and then we have a lot of fun having a mystery table. So I wanted to speak mainly to assure you that during this transition period, because Cammie and I are going to be stepping down as of April 1st, and we have 2 magnificent women who have come to the market and have been working with us, Barbara McCard and Jennifer Stucker, and they are going to hit the ground running, and they just won't miss a beat. So come and support them and enjoy the market and just keep this wonderful resource going. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to May Bristol. She's our next presenter.
By now, most of you should have received your brand new red program book. Looks like this. If you don't have one, please check your cubby today. Each resident will also get a two-sided sign-up sheet. Oh, sorry, I didn't bring that up. You will turn it over and sign up for all the committees that you're interested in being on. Assisted living residents will be getting their booklets delivered today. And I just want to assure you that you can sign up for as many committees as you want to. Just be sure and do it on that one sheet of paper. You will see a few changes from last year, but by and large, our offerings are pretty much the same. So even if you're currently on a committee, you need to sign up again for next year. It's important, again, I'm going to stress that you put everything on the one sheet of paper so that we can tabulate all the desires that you have, and we can let the committee chair people know who's going to be on each committee. When you get your sign-up sheet all filled out, please drop it in one of the ballot boxes that is either by the front door when you come in or in the mailroom. At long last, it looks like we can start being together to do all the things that we enjoy the most at the Horizon House. So if you have any questions about what you would like to do that you don't see offered or what the committees do, please ask any member of the Residence Council, or even better, a program coordinator. Their names are all listed in the mailroom on the Resident Council bulletin board. Once all the committees have been formed, the committee chair will be contacting you and telling you where the gatherings will be held and when. Now, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who's Deanna Nelson. She is the coordinator of the Liaison Committee. Deanna.
Thank you, Ray. The Event Support Committee is one of 9 liaison committees. And as coordinator of these committees, I'm pleased to introduce today Pat Fritz, who is the chair of the Event Support Committee. And she's going to present the first Resident Council Spotlight of the year. It's fitting that this little-known committee be our first spotlight because they are an essential part of the structure that ensures that our programs and events run smoothly. Pat will shine a light on the very important work of the members of the Event Support Committee. Pat?
Thank you, Deanna. Good morning. The Event Support Committee is composed of residents and key staff members. We work mostly behind the scenes, so you don't read about us in the alert or see us anything on the signboards. Mike Ostrom has mentioned the Event Support Committee several times recently in relation to the renovation of Anderson Hall. We have 3 main functions. One is to provide advice to management on the event environment. Is that okay? Do I need to repeat myself? No. We have 3 main functions. The first is to provide advice on the event environment, advice to management on the event environment. The second one is to support residents who sponsor events or present events. And the third one is to publish the event support handbook. When the North Tower was completed, new residents brought new talents and new energy. Events greatly increased in number. Soon it became apparent that those events could be improved, and the Event Support Committee was formed with the broad goal of helping events run more smoothly. A market survey was done in 2017, and the results documented what we have long known. One of the best things about Horizon House is the abundance of events organized by residents and enjoyed by residents. That is our secret sauce, as Sarah McVeigh, our previous CEO, described. She brought new energy and changes began to happen. In 2018, Risa became the events and programs manager, and the concierge became a full-time position. In 2019, Sarah met with us and asked for a report documenting all of our concerns and our recommendations for the revision of Anderson Hall. We worked diligently, and a month later, we submitted our 13-page report. For that report, our guiding principles were, first, that Anderson Hall should be a comfortable place where a group of smart, interested people gather to learn and enjoy things together. Second, our recognition that Anderson Hall is a multi-purpose space, not a performance space. And third, we residents of Horizon House are proud of the number of programs that are implemented and carried out by resident volunteers and want them to be the best they can be. The report included concerns and recommendations about equipment reliability, the physical environment, and some general observations. When Sarah left in the fall of 2019, Mike became our CEO, and he asked us to be the resident advisory group regarding the renovation of Anderson Hall. The report that we wrote is being used by the architects, Bethune, and the Horizon House Renovation Department. We've been meeting with the team since October of 2020. Our second function is to support residents who plan and present an event. We conduct training sessions to help you residents create the best possible events. Although we've not offered any training in the past couple of years due to COVID, we are planning to hold a training session later this spring. The focus will be on planning and preparation, so your event will be of the highest quality. Thirdly, we publish the Event Support Handbook. This handbook has two main sections. The first section contains key items to consider in preparing for the best program. That section will be the focus of the training that we'll do later this spring. The second section of the handbook deals with the technical aspects of the equipment. That will be updated when we have the new equipment, when it is installed, and when it's operable for us to use. The committee is looking forward to the future with a refurbished Anderson Hall, with new and easier to use equipment and more live events. We desire that those presentations be the best possible. We are seeking new members to move us forward in that direction. Thank you. And our next presenter will be Bill Roach, who will spot the Environment Committee.
Thanks, Beth. And I want to thank you all for inviting me to spotlight the Environment Committee. And the Environment Committee members learn about environmental issues with emphasis on climate change and sustainable living. We encourage residents to translate information into action. In 2022, we will continue to encourage residents with 5 different actions. The next slide, please. If you recall, in December, our 3 legislators came to Horizon House to discuss the coming session and stressed how important it was for residents to be actively involved and express their preferences. No, legislators do pay attention. We're spotlighting 13 climate and sustainable living bills, many co-sponsored by our legislators, which are in various phases of consideration in both the House and the Senate. We encourage interested residents who have signed up for our alerts to describe the title and purpose of each bill and enable them to express their position on each bill with an easy one-click action. This week, we will be urging residents to express their preference on bills such as 5714, a bill to tax incentive for solar panel canopies over parking lots statewide. Very interesting concept. And a tax incentive, and then also Bill 1918, a tax incentive for electrical outdoor power equipment to improve air quality, reduce emission, and noise. I look forward to passage of this bill and work on more electrical power equipment with less noise. We invite all residents to join us to express their position. Just email me at wtroach41@gmail.com or look up Bill Roach in the HH phone book and give me your contact info, and I will be sure to give you the legislative alerts as they come up. Next slide, please. We're collaborating with all the Horizon Health parties, that's the administration, board of trustees, and the residents to achieve carbon neutrality by 2032. First, to establish the existing carbon footprint of Horizon House, and then investigate what will be needed to achieve carbon neutrality by 2032. This will be a long-term project over the next few years, and we look forward to keeping the Residents' Council, Administration, and Board of Trustees apprised of our findings and proposed actions. Next slide, please. Jean Durning is leading us in arranging 8 to 10 environmental focused programs this year in Anderson Hall and True HHTV. For example, Jean has arranged for Dr. Erin Meyer of the Seattle Aquarium to speak on pathways toward climate resilience in Washington and ocean ethics. This will be held this Thursday evening at 7:30 here in Anderson Hall, and we hope that you will attend. Next slide, please. We are encouraging best practices among residents and staff to reduce waste and conserve energy in our facility and homes. This spring, Bonnie Miller will be organizing another in-person orientation of our recycling practices here, featuring 3 recycling contractors who serve Horizon House. This is the second year in which we're offering that. Bonnie has served also as liaison to the staff in the renovation of the waste recycling rooms in Central Tower, which is ongoing. And Jean Wortham edits the Renovator, which appears in the alert each week to provide sustainable tips. Next slide, please. We're collaborating with the dining services staff to expand nutritious menu options and sustainable practices. The Sustainable Nutrition Subcommittee and its mission have been transferred from the Dining Services Committee to the Environment Committee for this next program year. You can now find it under the Environment Committee in the Red Book, which has been mentioned already today. We worked with the dining servants and nutrition manager to offer the Healthy Choices Buffet in 2021 to explore additional healthy menu options. Found them quite popular and hope to replicate them at least quarterly in 2022. So those are the five, briefly mentioned 5 activities of our committee. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to respond to them possibly after the meeting. I appreciate the opportunity to highlight them, and I'd like to now pass this back to President Elizabeth Hoover.
Thank you. Now you have an example of what's going on in the Residents Council. We intend to spotlight a couple of our committees each month. And I want you to meet some of our council members who are here tonight. It's not today. It's they're not obvious. So would you stand, council members? All of you council members, please. Here they are. Okay. And we have these two here. Okay. They're the ones who are working for you. Thank you. I have one brief announcement here. If you are a new resident at residence and you haven't yet attended a residence council orientation session, please watch your mail slot for an invitation to join us on March 17 at 11 a.m. We want to meet you in person, help you become involved here as much as you'd like, and be with us in our activities that you really might enjoy. I also wanted to urge you to check your alert this week, because among all of the many programs the committees of the Residents Council are presenting, there are 4 timely programs being offered for our attention to Black History Month by our Diversity Awareness Committee. Thanks, Sally Redden. And you other chairmen for keeping us informed and engaged. Plan to join us each month for more of these spotlights and what our committees are doing. As May Gersel has told you, now's the time to sign up to participate in the programs and activities the council supports. And you'll notice there are some vacancies in leadership of our social events. Now's the time to step up and offer to convene one of these committees. You'll be surprised how fellow residents will support you. They'll come and help with all of the details and join us in making these events happen. And it'll get you out of your solitude in your apartment and doing something worthwhile. A lot of fun is involved in participation too, through our games and activities. And it's a great way to build meaningful relationships with fellow residents. No one is too new to participate. We are the residents-driven community, which creates the secret sauce that makes living at Rising House so special. And we make a difference here, don't we? Thank you. Do you have any questions here today from any of our presenters? Okay. If not, the meeting is adjourned.